experience for you and your viewers. Okay. I don't know. Is this working? I think it's working, yo. Jeez. We are live, I think. Oh, man. This is cool. This is pretty cool. All right. Well, today, Jeff, what did I say we were talking about again? Oh, yeah. NBA All-Star. This will be a story of how I accidentally fooled the NBA at NBA All-Star. So, yeah, pretty wild stuff. This is the first YouTube live I've ever attempted. Hopefully, you guys can hear me okay. Hopefully the sound's good. Hopefully the internet's cool. Somebody let me know if anything. My wife's somewhere in the background, so she'll probably be screaming at me once, well, if everything is okay. So, yeah, today we're going to be talking about how I accidentally fooled the NBA at NBA All-Star, and I feel like we could get into it. Jeff, what do you think? Should we start, bro?
I mean, maybe you should set. You could start. I mean, maybe we should set the stage a little bit. Just kind of warm up with like the pre-story.
The pre-story. Okay, cool. All right, so here's some pre-story info. All right, I want to say it's 2012. Right, I'm just out of college, and I miraculously get my dream job, guys. Out of school, I get hired by the NBA. And if you're new here, my love for basketball stems from being a tiny minion, being 2, 3 years old, me and my dad arguing over basketball games. That was definitely something that I loved a ton. Like, basketball was my baby, right? So to get this job after school, well, after I graduated college, was like a huge deal. I'm like, yo, I can't believe I got this job. And it was a dream come true in a lot of ways. So I'm super hyped. When we got hired, well, at least when I got hired, I want to say it was like 2012. Yeah, like 2012, 2013, maybe. I had no knowledge of whether I would have to attend NBA All-Star, right? Because I'm the lowest on the bottom pole, on the totem pole. You know what I mean, Jeff? Like, I just got hired, bro. I'm at the bottom. You know what I'm saying? I'm like almost cleaning toilets at this job.
Get it.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm doing the bottom work. So when I got hired, I was like, all right, cool. Like, just the fact that I'm here, I get to sit at the computer, I'm doing stuff, like figuring stuff out. But to be able to go to NBA All-Star, I was like, I'm probably not going. Like, I'm not that important. And I'm probably not cool enough to even attend something like this. So, as we get closer, I'm definitely working on stuff for NBA All-Star, right? So, I should probably say this. I was working as a marketing person, like new business client relationships type guy. And that job entails me to, I'm working with clients. I'm trying to make sure the clients are good, things they need, whether they need tickets, they need this or that. Like, they got what they need when they need it, right? Yeah, why y'all sneaking into the room?
It's because you're so like you're doing the same thing downstairs.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, mommy's watching.
Oh. Okay, well, say what's up. Say what's up. All right, let me tell the story though, guys. Come on, man.
I don't even know those.
They heard it was story.
Yeah, they heard it was story time. That's my minions in the background, guys. So just forgive me a little bit. But
Turn this down.
so so yeah, I got this dream job, and turns out, oh shoot, they do want me to go to NBA All-Star, right? So at first, I'm like super excited that this kid who grew up loving basketball, gets to attend NBA All-Star. Like, I am in like dream world, right? I tell my dad, I tell my parents, I'm like, yo, this is crazy. I'm telling my girlfriend, like, I got to go to NBA All-Star. It's in Houston this year, right? But with my eyes being legally blind and not being able to see in the dark, crowds have, like, this is my college days, but I'm still terrified of crowds and like, like things I can't see. Like even being by myself in places is sketchy at this point in my life. And I'm like, what, 21, maybe 22, right? So I start to feel like this dream scenario is about to be a nightmare, because if I have to fly by myself for the first time without like my mom or like somebody who like loves me, I'm like, this is terrifying. So I go from being super excited to super terrified in probably a few hours. I'm like, okay, I gotta go. So we find out that, okay, I have a pretty much a few months to plan. I try to see if my mom could actually go. And I know this sounds crazy, but I'm like, yo, mom, can you go to Houston with me? Can that work? She couldn't go. She had work, and it was kind of last minute. I asked my wife, I mean, she was my girlfriend at the time. I asked her if she could go. She had work. She couldn't. So I feel like I am stranded on this island of like, yo, I could easily achieve a lifelong goal of mine at this point, which is attending NBA All-Star. Or I could punk out and be scared because I don't feel like I'm going to be able to see enough to, one, be safe by myself. But two is like, how am I really supposed to do my job if I can't see what's going on around me? And are people going to look at me like, bro, what are you doing here if you can't do this job? Like, why are you here if you can't see? You know what I mean? And
so you had not disclosed to anybody at your work at this point about your legal blindness, visual impairment, or anything like that? Is that the case?
So you're absolutely right. I did not disclose what my vision was like to my employer for a few reasons, right? One, because I was hiding like from my eyes myself, like personally, I didn't want my blindness, I didn't want my low vision, my vision loss to stop me from doing things that I feel like I was expected to do. I'm like, I could do this. I'm gonna do this. I'm not gonna let it stop me, right? That's number one. But two, because I was in such denial with everything, like, yo, I was not prepared to say anything to anybody, even for myself. I wasn't going to admit that I was struggling to myself in a lot of ways. So I definitely wasn't able to disclose that to, the league as my employer. But also, like, I was terrified to tell them. I'm working with athletes, bro. You know what I mean? Yeah, I'm literally seeing superhumans every day. A lot of my coworkers were like played in college or like, are doing all these like amazing things in their spare time or did all these amazing like athletic things in, as they were younger or still doing amazing things currently. So it's like just knowing all of this, I'm like, there's no way I could tell them that I can't see, right? I'm like, if I tell them, there's probably 3 billion people who applied for this opportunity. Like I would be fired right away. At least that was my mindset originally as a 21-year-old kid in denial. Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you didn't want it to impact the way that they saw your capacity.
Exactly. Exactly.
And I think that's a super common experience for people with any kind of disabilities. You don't want to tell them like, hey, I actually kind of have some kryptonite.
Yeah.
You don't want to tell them that. You just kind of want like, hey, whatever it is, I can do this.
Exactly, bro. I definitely felt disposable and just super vulnerable. So I remember as we were gearing up towards like actually flying there, right? It was like the night before. I'll jump into the night before I was supposed to leave. And when I tell you guys, I was in full blown panic mode. Like I could not sleep, I could not eat, and I was doing my best to see like if anybody on the last minute could just come with me, right? Because I am like, yo, I can't do this, right? So I remember my dad talked me off a ledge, my mom talked me off a ledge, and there was one point where I was like, "Yo, I am not going. I think I should just call, quit. Like it's okay. Like I could just find another job."
So, quick question:
Yeah.
when you were like not able to sleep, were you kind of like running through the scenarios, like if this happens, if this
Yes.
happens?
Yes, in my head, and I don't know if you've experienced anything like this, but you know, like when you're imagining something, like what a place is going to be, I'm just picturing everything is going to be super dark, everything's going to be super crowded. I'm going to be running into everybody, and everybody will know like something's up with me. Like that was literally my mindset. I was like, I'm not going to be able to see anything, even just getting to the airport. I'm like, I'm about to get lost trying to fly by myself. You know what I mean? Like I have never done any of these things by myself before, so I was definitely nerve wracking for a lot of that stuff. Like if you just joined, we're talking about how I accidentally fooled the NBA, tricked the NBA at NBA All Star, and what that means is I just tricked them into thinking I was a regular employee, and I clearly was not, guys. Legally blind, no limits. What's up? My name's Corey. So yeah, so to answer your question, Jeff, my bro, like yeah, I was running through the scenarios, and that's pretty much what was terrifying me, because I just didn't see how I would be able to do, you know, I had responsibilities, I had a schedule, I had to be in places at certain times, and being worried about all that stuff, I'm like, how am I supposed to do that if I can't see, like, you know? So that's all the things that were going on in my mind.
Yeah, and we could imagine actually, like, let's say you had no vision thing going on.
Yeah.
I think the average person, the average employee would still be pretty anxious about
That's fair.
messing something up. So you have like this whole other,
Yeah.
like incredibly heavy layer
That's so true.
that intersected.
It's definitely
It's
super
like-
nerve wracking, man.
multiple.
It was like for me as an employee, even just that without a visual impairment, it's like, yo, this is the height of everything. This is like where things are at the highest stakes. Like you have to make sure your people get what they need. Things are on time. You know, if you have to deliver something, if something's an emergency, you got to be there to attend it. And thankfully, like literally one of my, like, if she's not my favorite boss of all time, she's obviously top two. She's definitely not two. But Natasha, who was my boss at the time, like she was super dope. She's such a dope person overall. But like, as much as I trusted her with like my life, I just couldn't. Like there were times where I was gonna say like, yo, Tasha, you know, I can't really see this, but I just felt like I would let the team down if I did that. And that's probably a terrible thought, but I was like, man, if I tell these people I can't see, like, I feel like I'm letting the league down, which is insane to even think. So yeah, so I guess fast forward, right, where I'm at the airport, I'm in panic mode, and I had a breakthrough moment as I'm like hugging my dad, like as I'm about to go through security, like, Dad, like, I don't know if I should do this. He's like, you got this. You're not gonna let your team down. You gotta go, right? And you know me, you know I have tears in my eyes right away. Yeah, y'all know me at this point. But something clicked in my head, was like, yo, I have other like coworkers in this airport. I could literally walk next to them and I think I'll be okay to not get lost in the airport, right? So once I had that breakthrough moment in my head, I was like, okay, so this airport thing might not be as scary as I thought it was gonna be, because I could literally like, you know, make conversations, follow people that, you know, I know who they are, and that, you know, we're all going to the same place on the same flight. So that right there was the first like sigh of relief / major win of the trip. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna make this flight. I'm not gonna get lost, and I won't get fired. so that was,
you were winging it.
yeah. Oh my gosh, I was like, yo, we gonna be able to. We gotta, you know, make this happen and do what I gotta do by leveraging the people around me. So that was definitely one thing. And actually, this is when I learned one. I don't want to call this a hack, but it was definitely a trick, right? At the time, I realized like if I was following somebody like head on, right? Like I'm following them, I'm looking straight. I will lose them super fast. Like I would lose them. I won't be able to see them as easily as if like I look for some reason, like if I looked left or right, for some reason it was easier to track where they were going and I would lose them less. I don't know if that's a hack or just a weird thing with my eyes, but I learned that, and that was one of the little things that definitely kept me safe and where I was supposed to be and with the people I was supposed to be with, you know, for the trip. So, you know, yeah.
Would you in the airport was the lighting a factor, or was it more so just like because you had the tunnel vision?
You know what? The lighting was okay in the airport, but like it's the tunnel vision, man. I think it's the tunnel vision and the fact that I'm blind in one eye, right? It's like even like the security, what do you call those? Those little poles with like the elastic next to it, right? What do you, like, you know, when you go through like a security line as an example, and like you have to follow like the security like path, you know, even those, like I can't really see those. So like trying not to like run into that was an obstacle. Of course, glass, you know, you go through glass terminals or like the security things. It's like, oh, somebody's handing you something. I'm like winging it because all that stuff is hard to see. Like my family knows, like, yo, if you want me to see something, put it in my hand. Make it easy for me and you know? I was like, it's just so hard to like keep track of stuff. But thankfully we definitely get through that and we land in Houston, and it was such a dope experience getting there and like battling these like insecurities on the way. We get to the hotel, right? So how NBA All-Star set up, not only are you worried about like the arena where the games are happening, the events are happening, and a lot of times there's like 2 different arenas or whatever, but there's like a major event space. And there's a lot of like hotel activity, right? A lot of hotel activities, events happening around, restaurants, whatever. But it's a lot of things to navigate. So you got a crazy amount of people. You got crazy people, right? Because you got fans who are hyped, like, yo, their favorite players are coming to town. There's a lot of like amazing things happening in their city. And you got a lot of people flying in. So we get to the hotel, and I don't want to say I panicked at the hotel because the amount of people was overwhelming. It was the most amount of people that I've ever probably been around at the, you know, at one time. But I made it a mission to count as much things as I could. Like, all right, to get to the elevator from the front door, I gotta be at like 112 steps, which I know it sounds insane, but these are the types of things I was writing down. Like, okay, 112 steps to get here. To get to this conference room, I got to be in this position and count another 40 steps. Or to get to this elevator, you know, it's waist high where the buttons are. Like things like that, I've always like took note of, but it was on hyperdrive, you know, being there by myself because I'm like, I literally can't say anything to anybody. So we're at the hotel. I'm pretty much able to navigate it. In all my spare time, I'm taking notes. And we had a map of like places to be and when to be there. You know, my schedule was tight. But this whole time, I'm just thinking, yo, if I survive this, am I going to be exposed and fired? like, like, can I really survive this in a position and be in a position where, yo, I still got my job done. You know what I mean? Without any hiccups, without any, you know, issues. So, side note, my kids are in this room. For some reason, they're crawling on the floor as I'm doing this. So if y'all hear any noises, that's definitely my minions in the background. But yeah, so that was pretty much the first phase of this NBA All-Star trip. But let me tell y'all something, because truthfully, NBA All-Star, like being at this event, right? Like usually the employees are pretty much there for almost a week or whatever. But the magnitude and the amount of people that show up for events like this, especially when you can't see, but just, I guess in general, it is super overwhelming. Like I remember, like I want to say it was like, if I flash forward like a day or two of just trying to figure things out, just trying to figure out like where things are, who everybody is. One of my biggest hurdles was like, okay, we're at an event or we're supposed to be, somewhere. How do I actually get into the building when I can't really tell, what the right entrance for me is to be at? So I think this was, even though I wasn't telling anybody like, hey, I'm struggling to see, I can't really make it to these places by myself. I definitely learned the importance of communication and connectivity here because, like I was telling you guys, I was working with clients. Fortunately, I really made some good connections with some of the clients that I was working with, to the point where instead of meeting at, the game or meeting at this certain function, it was like, yo, let's meet in the lobby. I'll be here. We'll meet there and go together. I think that was the first time I really realized how important like the togetherness is when, when you're struggling with your vision, right? Because it's like, man, like the fact that I was able to be with people and talk and get to places with people, that saved me over and over and over again. That wasn't even me saying, yo, I'm struggling. It was like, oh, let's just, let's be together. We can talk. And, it's just quality time with friends, essentially. So that saved me. Getting to, I remember, okay, so Friday night is when usually it's like the rookies and sophomores play. Like you got the celebrity game, right? I'm sure they added different things. So this is more than 10 years ago, right? Saturday is like the dunk contest, 3-point contest, skills challenge. I remember leading up to that, it was just like Saturday was the most hectic day of everything because it was like, not only do you have like those big events, but there was like parties going on. There was a lot of like events at like these activations, like at event spaces outside of like the actual arena. So all day long, it's like, okay, well, the All-Stars are going to be practicing here. There's these brands doing these major events, giveaways and games, all these things happening, on Saturday that I had to be there to either deliver things or make sure this client was good and all this stuff. So again, I want to say like, I was super happy to be a part of this because it was in all honesty, it was an absolute dream come true, right? Like anybody who loves basketball to be able to work for the NBA, to be able to say like, yo, I work for the league. It's just such an honor, but it was because I couldn't communicate like, yo, I needed help with this, or, I really wasn't telling myself the truth as it's related to like how much I was struggling with my eyes. Because of all that, it was just like, it became a nightmare at the same time. So I'll probably save my story of why I had to leave, that job later in a future video or something. But yeah, it was just the stress of my eyes with everything going on. It was just too much. So Saturday was the biggest day, at least for me in terms of stress level. Not only do you have all that that I mentioned that was going on, but it was also like the most famous, biggest party of the weekend was the Jordan party, right? Michael Jordan party. If I take a step back, like leading up to this party, like leading up to even going out to All-Star, like when I tell you everybody was super hype about this party, like all the coworkers were like, yo, you got into the party, you got tickets, are you on the list? And if you're not on the list, it's like, yo, how can I get in the list? Can you help me? Can you help me? Like this was the craziest thing of the weekend. And while again, and I feel like I was going through this a lot where it's like, yo, I'm in a situation which is super cool. This NBA All-Star, it's incredible to be here, but everything was super scary, right? It's like, yo, this party is going to be dark. And I remember for a while I had, just like I didn't know I was going to be able to even go to All-Star in the first place. And this was my first NBA All-Star experience. In my head, I was like, there's no way I'm going to be invited to this party. Like, sure, that was a client, that I was helping with, but there's no way I'm going to be able to go to this party and stuff like that. So in my head, I'm like, listen, it's no worries if I can't go, because in my head, I'm like, what am I going to see in there anyway? It's like, how do I survive that anyway? So fast forward a little bit. I think I found out I was going maybe a few days before we actually flew out. That it was like, oh yeah, I'm expected to go because that's part, like I said, that's part of my client relationship building, and I should be there. And again, I'm at that crossroads of this is super dope, but I am super scared of what could happen here. Like I'm not trying to, like I could barely see what's in front of me, let alone I'm gonna have to not walk into people. And if I do walk into somebody, like the chance of walking into somebody like important or like some sort of celebrity like goes up. It's like I don't want to be the guy to like run into somebody like that, spill a drink on somebody like that. Like it's just super embarrassing, So Saturday happens. I get through, all the events, using every single trick that I pretty much am using as a tool belt, right? Like, okay, if I have to follow somebody, the look to the side trick to just like see where their shape is going, or like, making sure I'm teaming up with somebody to get to places. That was so huge. Another cheat code, I guess it's kind of a cheat code, but another thing that I did was I called on a coworker who I don't think she had access to the party previously, but she was a super like huge and cool person that helped me, as I was learning, my job, stuff like that. So I was able to invite her as like a plus one, like, yo, come with me. We could do this. That way you get in. And and in my head, I'm like, yo, I have a little bit of a safety net because I could rely on somebody, to go with me and hang. So that was a huge win when she was like, cool, let's do that. So, getting there, one, was a hurdle that we were able to cross, but then getting inside and getting where we're supposed to be, all that stuff was much easier having a partner, right? Because all my usual safety nets, whether it's, my wife, my sister, my mom, were across the country. And this was my first time in Houston. I think this was my first time in this is my first time really leaving like New York, New Jersey, all that. So we're at the party. It was super dope. Oh, actually, I should tell you guys this. Before the party starts, there's a dinner, right? Usually during the dinner, they have performances. Now in college, my whole I listened to a lot of different type of music, but I remember in college, like the weekend was like he was definitely not as big as he is now. He was, kind of something that like a lot of college kids were listening to. It was like, yo, you heard Weekend? Cool, cool, cool. We're at dinner. This guy is performing. And when I tell you, nobody cared. And I'm looking at this like, are we serious here? like, I remember just asking people like, you know who that is? Like, nah, who's that? Like, yo, that's The Weeknd. Like, I've been listening to his music in school. Like, like huge deal for me, but it was like super chill. Like everybody was just like, I don't know if it was people didn't know or if people, were just really playing it cool. It's definitely something you have to do as as an employee of, an organization like that. You don't want to be like a fan. You don't want to be overbearing, with celebrities or athletes. It's like, all right, cool. Treat them like real people, man. It's like, they get hounded by everybody else. They'll add to the list. So I remember like just being in awe that this guy was performing while we're eating. And once he finished, I went up to him and was like, man, that was incredible. He was like, bro, like I didn't think anybody here knew who I was because it was like so quiet. But it was just so cool to just be able to like speak to somebody like that. And he obviously from that year, I think that was probably what 2013 NBA All-Star, like, he skyrocketed pretty much right after that. But it was just so cool to meet him at that time. And after that, the party starts, right? It's super dark in this event. And I am doing my best to survive it. I'm doing my best to dodge everybody. I have my sorries ready. Like, I'm bumping to somebody like, oh, my bad, sorry, oh, sorry. Or like if somebody that I was supposed to know, this, like, if you've seen a hack battle of mine, the Pokey hack battles, especially the last one with Sam from the Blind Life, I talk about the move high impact, right? Where like you put your hand out first when you're, supposed to be meeting somebody or you're out socially, so that way you don't leave anybody hanging. This is where that comes from because I was able to, if my plus one, her name's E, she's like, "Oh, Corey, look, it's such and such." I was so quick to be like, "Hey, what's up?" Like even if I couldn't see them, that way they could shake my hand and I wasn't leaving anybody behind. You know what I mean? So that was huge. That definitely saved me a lot, and I feel like I'm sure I still left somebody hanging, but at least I did my best to survive that. It was super, super cool that day though, because not only E, but a lot of my other coworkers, especially my brother Yao. It was cool being in a room where, even though I didn't see the amount of, celebrities and people in the room, they were calling them out like, "Yo, this is such and such. Oh, look at such and such." It's like, oh shoot, like, it's people that you only see on TV, voices you only hear on the radio, and a lot of them were in this room. So just to be in that situation, even though I couldn't see a lot of what was happening, was special. Definitely one of my biggest accomplishments, I would say, even just being here. But one of my most scariest moments that pretty much taught me like, okay, if I do anything and one, I'm smart about it, but also I join or I enter rooms with confidence. Like confidence is so huge. And I feel like just the confidence to do this, to step out, or just being resourceful where like, okay, I'm with my friends or I'm with my coworkers and I'll be able to, use their voice as a guide or, like use just friendship as a guide, doing things together. That definitely saved me. But also high impact also was highlighted when I was able to shake Michael Jordan's hand himself. Even though I didn't see him all the way, the light hit him, and I was like, "Oh," because everybody around me was introducing themselves to him, and being able to at least do the head nod and shake his hand was such an amazing moment that I couldn't even see. So, just going back to being able to be at such an amazing event as a legally blind guy. I was considered legally blind in high school, and this is 6 years after the fact or so. And to be in this situation where I'm an employee of the NBA, meeting arguably the best player of all time, but yet I couldn't see. It's definitely madness, but beautiful at the same time. I'm trying to remember. It's so funny because I'm trying to remember if this was my first NBA All-Star or my second, but there was one moment where we were at a party, and it might have been this party, where my boss was like, "Corey, are you drunk?" And me being so scared to just say, "Nah, I just can't really see in the dark." I was like, "Yeah, I'm drunk," like, damn, you got me. But, it was cool because everybody had a drink in their hand. It was definitely after hours and stuff like that. It's not like I was in the office, but it's just the insanity of being more willing to say I'm drunk than, oh, I have a problem is crazy. But being an employee of the NBA, man, was definitely a dream come true. And I definitely miss it, man. Like I said, like if I wasn't struggling so much with being able to see things and like, what my obligations were, whether it was traveling or meeting people here and there, like I would have definitely loved to still be there and work there for longer. But when I tell y'all it got too stressful, like not being able to see and then knowing that I had to travel and go here and there and meet people, it was like, man, it was just too much. For somebody like me who just couldn't talk about my eyes at that point. And it wasn't even to fool people around me. It was more so just like me running from it myself, So I feel like that's pretty much the story of the time I had to fool the NBA at NBA All-Star. To keep my job and to keep my career going. And it was an absolute dream, but yeah, a nightmare at the same time. So that's it. Any questions? Jeff, you still there, bro? right, Jeff might not be there. Is any questions? Oh my gosh. Okay, Kia, thank you so much. Dominique, you hear me? Oh shoot. Okay, cool, bet. I'm happy you can hear me. Oh, Kia, let me tell you something, man. I know things just happened recently, with your vision loss, but I'll tell you one thing. It's like the journey of accepting this thing is, I think it's supposed to be for a lifetime, right? I think the goal is just to have more good days than bad days. And shoot, I would be a liar if I ain't say I still have my bad days and I'm still adjusting and things like that. But I think I'm just starting to feel like my good days are outweighing my bad days, and that's helps a lot. It's like, all right, it's rare when I'm down for a whole day now, but it definitely takes time. So give yourself time, give yourself grace and love. Man, I think that's all you could really do. I'm trying to see if there's anything else. I'm trying to hear these messages, so give me a second. Thank you guys so much, man. Thanks for y'all for being here, man. Dang, I'm trying to just hear all these things. My bad days take all this. Yeah, Kia, I'm sending you some hugs, yo, because I don't want you to feel like that. But I know things are also new for you. So if anybody's struggling with recent vision loss, yo, give yourself grace. That's all I can say. Give yourself grace and time, because especially if it's new. Me, I literally found out something was wrong with my eyes when I was 6, and I'm still fighting through it day by day. So, man, just that's what 30 years pretty much. So definitely don't try to rush the time to heal and prepare. The biggest thing that has helped me has been connecting with people, yo, because oh my gosh, actually, shout out to community. And if you're not in our Discord, some of the beautiful people in the chat are a part of our Discord, but community has been a big thing, because at least being able to talk about what you're going through, maybe get some advice, whether it's getting help with resources and tools, that's huge, right? But even just reaching out to other communities and stuff. Like, I was watching a documentary, and I'm going to do something with this documentary. It was called Driving Blind by Todd Purvis, right? Shout out to Todd. He has the same condition I do. And the beautiful thing about this documentary, they're going across the country as two brothers who are losing vision, because they're trying to just get as much memories and things in their eyes as possible before blindness affects them even more. And somebody said something in that documentary where it was an older gentleman. I want to say he was like in his 80s, and he's like, man, I'm not worried about the things I can't see right now, because I know as soon as I die, like, yo, I'm going to get the replay of everything. And even just that perspective, I'm like, yo, I never thought about that. I never thought about that. It's like, I'm so focused on like, yo, I want to be able to see my kids. I want to be able to see this and that. It's like, yo, like one day you're going to be able to replay everything, and, you won't feel like you missed out too much. So just getting people's perspectives, getting people's thoughts is huge. You know what I mean? So I definitely encourage anybody here, if you're struggling, man, just get some more opinions. Talk to some of these older folks who have gone through this and are living, because you'll be surprised at how much of them are like happy and and okay with how they're feeling. So I would definitely say that. I'm trying to hear some of these. Do you feel like faking it till you make it can work sometimes? Okay, so you know what, Jeff, that is a great question. Do you feel like, do I feel like faking it till you make it can help sometimes? And the answer is absolutely yes, right? But I say that with a grain of salt, because it can get scary, right? It can get scary, it can get dangerous, right? Fortunately, in my journey, faking it has allowed me to experience some things I never would have experienced if I would have let my eyes like dictate everything I was going through, right? Like when I found out I was legally blind, I was on the football team. Like I'm playing tight end of a football team, expected to catch, footballs. And trust me, I was not great at all. Like I remember I was playing even without my glasses, and I'm literally just following shapes because I was so used to playing basketball where everything just felt so precise. I was like, oh, football, there's so much feel in this game. Like I'm running into people or whatever. Like, I was able to follow shapes and stuff. But I found out I was legally blind while playing football, like in the middle of the football season. And I know that sounds crazy, but my mom was like, yo, you cannot keep playing football. And my doctor was telling me the same thing. But I was literally faking it till I made it because I didn't know any better. And I feel like some of that ignorance just was blissful in a way because I was just going out living life. And I think I kept a lot of that into, college and my career. Like I have a joke with my cousin, Phantom Orphan, shout out to him. But like, I remember like we would have night classes, right, in New York City. And I remember just not being able to see and just relying on people's eyes so that way they wouldn't walk into me. I'm like, I know I gotta go this direction. I can see the street lights. I can see the lights from the cars. But how I get back to my apartment every day, like at least when I had night classes, it was like miraculous, But I think faking it will put you in like amazing experiences, but it's also hard. You gotta be almost brave that it's like numbing or dumb in a way, but it could be worth it, depending on what you got going on. That was such a long answer. My bad. Oh, Kia, you the bomb, yo. Kia says she listens and takes my advice all the time. Man, I don't know if my advice is that good, but I can share what I'm learning. But man, I appreciate you guys for even being here and tuning in. Dang, yo, we got our first live done. This is our first live. I mean, any other questions? Yo, babe, any questions that I missed or anything? I'm here yelling in the house. She probably can't even hear me. But yeah, thank you guys. Thank you guys so much. Oh, I see. Okay, how long did I work there? Okay, so I actually worked for the NBA for 3 years. So I want to say I was hired in 2012 out of school, and I remember I was a part of 3 All-Stars. So it was Houston, New Orleans, and New York. So yeah, those are my 3 All-Stars, and I remember like the New York one was so dope because I was in New York, and I was able to have my wife was around and stuff like that. It was super cold though. That was the one thing. It was super cold being there, but it was such a dope experience being able to share that. And yeah, I think that was my last year. So that must have been like 2015. But yeah, it got too hectic at one point. I had to leave because I was supposed to go to Vegas and meet a person in the middle of a nightclub, in the middle of a party, to drop off like tickets and like it was like first like NBA Summer League stuff. And when I was told that I had to do that, I just was like, that's different, to go completely alone. I didn't have anybody to say, okay, cool, we could do this together with, and that was my cheat code for All-Star. It was like, yo, I got people around me. To be somewhere by myself in that situation, it was just too much. So unfortunately, I definitely had to make a quick exit, but it was sad, yo. Like I really would have stayed there my entire like working career if I could have. That was my dream. That was definitely one of my biggest accomplishments in life. Like definitely one of the most proud things like my dad was like happy with, Like, yo, my son worked for the NBA. He's at All-Star. Like he had we had like a NBA All-Star book bag from that first one. Like when I tell you he was rocking that book bag since the day I got it, he took it, man, he was so proud. So it was dope. It was really dope. Am I missing anything else? Any other comments or anything?
Last question.
How
long were you?
All right, cool. Oh wait, I see. That is so awesome. Your first live. Way to go, Corey. Oh, yo, Dominique, thanks for being here, man. I appreciate you. Yeah, 3 years. 3 years. It was fun, yo. Like the amount of funny like moments. I definitely I'm gonna turn this into like a real official video with all the stories because I'm sure I forgot so much things. Like I'm not gonna lie, doing this is nerve wracking, yo. I'll let y'all know, especially with being my first one. Like I was definitely super nervous, and my kids is running around, and I'm like, yo, it's madness. But I'll turn this into a full blown video. But I definitely wanted to get this done, you know, with NBA All Star being tonight. So. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Thanks so much. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. I appreciate y'all, man. Thanks so much, guys. And yeah, let's see.